All right, what is going on, Laker fans? Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys being a part of the post-game show here. Thought I just turned off my microphone here. 107-98 Lakers over the Portland Trailblazers. We're here at Crypto. I think I mentioned on Friday night after Lakers lost to Atlanta that I'd be at the game tonight. I am here. Probably the greatest Lakers game I've ever watched in my life. Such an important game against such a tough matchup against the Portland Trailblazers. I got to be honest with everybody. I don't know what the hell I just watched. There were a lot of options tonight of what people could have been watching. Maybe you were watching the trade news, or not even the trade news, the signing of Juan Soto. Maybe you're watching NFL football on a Sunday night. I don't know what the hell you were doing, but that wasn't exactly the prettiest game that was out there. But the Lakers are so desperate for a W and so desperate for wins that however the hell they got it, you just take the W and move on. Like I mentioned, not the prettiest game here, but Lakers, they get the W over the Portland Trailblazers. So 107-98. We'll get a chance tonight. There's really a few things to talk about. We can talk about the actual game, certain players that came through, guys like Anthony Davis with his 30, 11, and 5, guys like D'Angelo Russell with his 28 and 14, how important that is for both of those guys to obviously be critical down this. You just did the first 25% of the season. You got the next 25% coming, how critical those two guys are going to be. But I think there's other storylines too. This is a game against the Portland Trailblazers, one of the worst teams in the entire Western Conference, if not the worst team in the Western Conference, one of the worst teams in the NBA. So how much can you really take from it? How much can you really pay attention to a W like this? I'm probably not going to walk away and saying too much from it. One of the issues that the Lakers have had over these course, I saw a stat today. Spectrum had it up. I'm sure they'll have it up as they're doing their postgame show. There was a stat earlier today about what the Lakers are versus teams above 500 and teams below 500. I want to say above 500, 3-10, something along those lines, but the record wasn't good. And then they were dominating teams that were below 500. So tonight isn't a surprise or a shock. I think for most Laker fans out there, the real test for the Lakers is when they're playing against teams that you feel like they would have to face in order to make the playoffs, or teams that you know are going to make the playoffs. How would the Lakers look against some of those squads? That's really the bigger question mark. Let me do this. Let me actually get into tonight's game. Let me actually just point out what happened in tonight's game. Bron obviously didn't play. I thought that was interesting. There was kind of, I don't know, confusion or whatever the case is, but Bron was here earlier before the day, and he was, warming up, going through his regular routine, and then decided that he wasn't able to go with some foot soreness. So we'll leave Bron aside for a quick second, and we'll get to Bron in just a little bit. I thought tonight's game churned when D'Angelo kind of took over the game, I guess you can call it. And I think for me, when I think of D'Angelo Russell, and you guys can give me your opinion, what you think on this, but I think when I think of D'Angelo Russell, I don't really care in what games D'Angelo Russell performs well in. I think the man just needs some good performances, period. So whether D'Angelo Russell is doing it against the Denver Nuggets, or he's doing it against the Sacramento Kings, or he's doing it against really good squads out there, Sacramento's not a really good squad, but you guys know what I mean, or he's doing it just randomly in a night against the Portland Trailblazers, he's kind of desperate to have some type of success. So I'll take the success anywhere that I can find it. I'm going to cut in real quick. Let's listen. JJ Redick's talking, and I'll come back on D-Lo.
They flood with that low guy, and they're disruptive. Kamara's like Dyson Daniels or some of these other guys we played recently that just kind of get you out of your flow offensively if you are stagnant. So we wanted to just play in the middle of the floor. But I thought Rui in that second quarter was great, and D'Lo just having a big time game. AD was fantastic. And then defensively for us, I thought a number of guys played really well, and Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Cam. It was overall a really good game for our group.
Along those lines, what's sort of the big picture utility on a night like tonight in terms of, obviously D'Lo hit shots, but before that, it felt like he was doing a lot of little things in terms of organization and stuff like that mattered. You mentioned Cam. He had 4 assists, I think, during the second quarter. What sort of is the challenge to take this stuff that occurred like on a night when, LeBron and Austin aren't out there in possessions and figure out ways to fit this in?
Yeah, I think you have to adapt throughout the season with what works for the group and what works for different players. I will say, night to night, LeBron and AD are going to have the ball, and the offense is going to run through them. How we do that has been different at different times throughout the year. The other guys are really good offensive players and really talented, and there's nights where it's their nights, and there's nights where it's not. So some of it is feel, but again, you have to be open to mixing different things in. It's funny because when LeBron was like scratched, I went into my office and I put like 7 ATOs together that obviously didn't involve him. One of which was for Rui, which I don't know if we've called an ATO for him since the preseason, and we executed it and he scored, and we ended up running that.
Are we going to cut in
9
after
or 10
this
times, and I think they stopped it once. So that flexibility, I think, is important.
You told us pregame with no LeBron, you're going to need your team to move.
One more. Let's just hear what the
pass,
question is.
Get in transition and touch the paint every possession. Like, how do you assess that?
All right, that's good. All right, JJ obviously giving his thoughts about the game. I want to cut back into what I was talking about. I want to talk about D'Angelo Russell here for a quick second. So I think even JJ Redick, the way he's explaining this win, nobody's going to go out of their way. Your guys' comments, by the way, are hysterical. I start a couple of these comments I'm going to go back to tell you how Laker fans feel. No one doesn't sound like anybody's getting too excited about the Lakers being the Portland Trailblazers, as no one should. Tony, this is a good observation. Last game for the Blazers, they lost 141-99 against Portland. So that tells you in itself how bad the Blazers have been. But let me listen. When you're a team like the Lakers and you just need to see a win, and they don't have another game until Friday, which is really odd with the schedule, but I think this has something to do with the NBA Cup. So because you don't have another game coming until Friday, you just need some kind of positive momentum, anything. And let me go back to D'Lo here real quick, because I think the D'Angelo Russell part for me is the piece that I'll probably stick to more than anything else tonight. And people are already saying it. I already see all these comments from people that are basically saying, yeah, D'Lo's going to have a good night. Let's see where D'Lo is an all-star in meaningless games, but I'll take it. I do think that he does have a perception right now, D'Angelo Russell does, that, listen, if the games aren't big, he had some big playoff games, don't get me wrong. But the way most people are looking at D'Angelo Russell right now is, can you do this in big games on a consistent basis? And the answer is no. And can you just do this in consistent games in the regular season this year? I'm talking about this season. For whatever's happened in the past, let's let it go. Let's move on. And for D'Lo, that answer has been no. So for me, when I watch this game and I see the Lakers right now, and I kind of see their position, and I see that they've been reeling, they're 2-7 in their last 9 games, that they're really struggling against any team in the NBA right now. They're struggling. I mean, Utah was a 1-point win, if you guys remember. Could have lost that one as well. When they're reeling the way they are, and D'Angelo Russell has been so inconsistent this year, take the W and see if you can build any confidence off of that, number one. And number two, for a guy like D'Angelo Russell, can this help your season? Or is D'Lo basically saying, listen, I can do this because LeBron wasn't there, and because LeBron wasn't there, I got the opportunity to have the ball in my hands, make decisions, dish out 10 dimes, 12 dimes, or in tonight's game he had 14 dimes, and contribute and get 18 points. The problem is for the Lakers, it doesn't really matter if D'Lo's doing it. Not that it doesn't matter, but he needs to do it not to these numbers, but he has to have some type of consistent production on a night in, night out basis when LeBron's in the lineup, when they're playing a really good team. That's going to be the challenge for D'Angelo Russell. D'Lo tonight, what do you want me to tell you? He was 9-17 from the field, really had it going. He had a stretch there, hit a few threes in a row, 5 of 10 from the 3-point line, a plus 29 in the plus minus. So he was a star off the bench for the Lakers. And I don't really know if anybody was expecting that, but I don't think it's a coincidence that LeBron wasn't there tonight, Austin Reeves wasn't there tonight, and you really needed him to be a focal point. So there's a reason why he was able to do what he did. But at the end of the day, what the Lakers were banking on coming into the season was not D'Lo can perform in nights that they don't have anybody else to perform. They need him to perform when LeBron is there, when Anthony Davis is in the lineup, when Austin Reeves is in the backcourt with him. They're going to need him on a night in, night out basis. And again, you don't need 28 and 14 from the guy, but you certainly need what he's been able to contribute over the course of, 23 games now so far this season. Lakers are now sitting at, or maybe 24 games. They're sitting at 13 and 11 now as they take 4 or 5 days off. All right, let me see a couple of your comments here. I was watching the game and thinking to myself, two teams battling for lottery position. I'm going to do my show tomorrow. For those who don't know, Monday through Friday, I do a show, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., just here on YouTube. And do a full show. And I'm talking Lakers. I'm talking other sports as well. Tomorrow we'll get into Juan Soto, some of these NFL games. We'll get into a few different things. But one of the conversations I'm going to get into, this conversation about battling for lottery position, the interesting thing, in my opinion, is going to be, what are the Lakers in the next 20 games? Where are they by the time you get to January 15th or February 1st? Do you find yourself in some type of position where the Lakers, is it not worth a trade? I don't have the answer for that. I'm just proposing. Michael Wilbon had some stuff on ESPN over the weekend, and basically his conversation had a lot to do with, hey, the Lakers should try to ship LeBron, and if you're going to send him to with Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. It's not a conversation for today, but I think the question of, is this a lottery team? I don't know. I don't know. If you'd have asked me that question a couple of weeks ago, I'd have told you, of course they're not. Now, if you ask that question, I don't know where they're going to be 30 days from now. I really don't. I have no idea where they're going to be in 30 days from now. All right, let's read some more of your comments. LeBron has to get off the ball. I don't think he can. I think that's just LeBron James. And if you're asking Bron, now, if you want to make an argument and say, look, at this stage of his career, it's better for him because the more off ball than he is, maybe he can be more effective. He can also find times to kind of gather his breath and not feel like he's got to put the entire team on his shoulders. But I don't know if LeBron can do that. And there's a reason why I think the Lakers decided, hey, D'Lo, you're in the starting lineup. Hey, D'Lo, we're taking you out of the starting lineup. I think they thought they need help coming off the bench. How was D'Lo mixing in with the rest of the players? I don't think they were too crazy about it. And I think it was a bad idea. I just was hoping D'Lo would have a little bit more consistency. David Sabatini, much needed win, of course. Got a Rams logo there. What a win for them. Jeez, I was not expecting them to play as well as they did against the Buffalo Bills. D'Lo can't be an all-star if LeBron is hogging the ball. Okay. Let me say this. They don't need D'Angelo Russell to be an all-star. They need him to be consistent. That's what they need. And there's times that D'Lo's coming into games when LeBron's not there, because he's on the bench trying to get some rest, and it's not like D'Lo is demanding 35 minutes a night. I'm going to look at something. This actually was a stark reminder in the last game that the Lakers played. But I'm going to give you guys a good example. Last game Lakers played, remember that loss against Atlanta? They lost in OT. They lost in overtime. I remember paying attention to this, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Do you know how many minutes D'Lo played in that 134-132 overtime game against the Atlanta Hawks where the Lakers lost, where there is no Austin Reeves even in the game? Played 21 minutes. He played less minutes than Max Christie. Cam Reddish played 21 minutes as well. He played less minutes than Dalton Knecht, Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura. If D'Lo is supposed to be your third or fourth best player on this team, that also tells you a lot about what J.J. Redick thinks about D'Angelo Russell and his play. In a game where the Lakers played 53 minutes because it was an overtime game, D'Lo only played 21 minutes. So I don't know how much I agree with that comment. The D'Lo can't be an all-star if LeBron is hogging the ball. He's got opportunities. It's not like D'Angelo Russell doesn't get his opportunities. He's got to make the most of it. All All right, Sliwa, D'Lo had a great game. Give him his props and let it be. You're right. Maybe I'm going a little bit too much here. Not that I'm not giving him his props. It's that it's the Portland Trailblazers, and we just need some consistency from D'Lo. Trust me, I got no problem giving that man his fair share and his credit. I hope we can do that here when I'm doing the post-game show. But I think you guys understand, obviously, what the expectations were for D'Lo coming into the year and what he's been able to do. Those green screens, pretty realistic. Nah, I'm at the game, buddy. Listen, if I'm rocking a suit, I'm at the game. If I'm not rocking a suit and you see the background, I'm not at the game. It's good to get out here. Always nice to get out to a Lakers game. All right, let's read more of your comments here. Let me get one more in here. I want to talk Anthony Davis here real quick. Here's another one. D'Lo never been consistent, to be honest. Okay, the other player that I thought, important for him to just kind of take over a game like this. Guys, I'm going to continue to say it, and it's a little odd, right? Because you're coming off a W, and that's all you're really asking for right now from the Lakers is just try to get wins and take your chances from there. And Lakers did get a win tonight, so that's all good and dandy. But it was Portland, and Portland's really, really bad. So this was kind of one of those must wins. You have to win. There was a stretch there to start, I think, the third quarter. Lakers had a 12, 13-point lead, whatever it was at halftime. Let me look here real quick. They were up. No, they're up a lot more. 20. They were up about 14 at halftime. Outscored Portland by 20 just in that second quarter. But next thing you see, and Lakers are fortunate Portland's as bad as they are. Portland went on an 11-0 run to start the third quarter, and it was a 3-point game. So they went 11-0 run. So there was no margin for error in this game, and I thought AD kind of made sure that, obviously Lakers were going to – I never felt like Lakers would not win the game, even when they were down. What were they down by 6 at the end of the first quarter? I think there was a 1 point they were down 8 by the time the first quarter was getting close to a close. I don't think there was ever a thought Lakers were going to lose this game. But AD tonight, 30, 11, and 5 was AD's line. So obviously a really good line from him. Some of the other players for the Lakers. Just kind of point out a few of these other guys that contributed tonight. Rui. Bless you, Slee. Bless you. Bless you. God bless you, Slee. Rui tonight, 23, 5 rebounds, 4 steals. So between Rui and D'Angelo Russell, he had 51 points. Between those two players alone, D'Lo, by the way, had 5 rebounds, so 10 rebounds between Rui and D'Lo. You're not going to lose many games if you get that type of contribution from those two players. Really, really nice night for Rui. 9 of 13 from the field, hit 3 threes, 3 of 5 from the 3-point line. And then kind of going down the list, everybody else for the Lakers. Dalton Connect has been very, very quiet now. I want to say that's 3 out of the last 4 games, something like that. Maybe a little bit more. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go look back at the stats. But he's definitely been quiet, at least Rui has over this, or I'm sorry, Dalton Connect has over this stretch of games for the Lakers. But looking at a couple of the other guys for the Lakers tonight, I think, Cam Reddish, what are you going to really ask for? 4 assists, 2 steals. I'll take that any given day. Looking at some of the other players, I'm just looking. Oh, Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent, just 3 points tonight. Did have 3 steals, 1 for 4 from the field. So not all that impressive of a night from Gabe Vincent as well. Okay. Here's and I'm gonna look at a couple of these comments here in just a second. This is the other thing that I'll mention here, and I think this is going to be the the key to what happens with the Lakers moving forward. Are they connected? Is this squad connected, or are they not connected? And I can't answer that question for you today, and I probably can't answer that question for you in a week or in 2 weeks. I think it's going to be a while until we're able to figure out if this team is connected. I think the question that you're going to have to look at with the Lakers, have you guys seen their schedule they got coming up? I said this before, and it didn't go very well, but I talked about this, how the Lakers, they're going to have barometer games, and those barometer games were going to tell a lot about the Lakers. They didn't do very well in those barometer games. I mean, go look at some of these games that they played, whether it was the loss against the Timberwolves or the Thunder or the Suns or the Nuggets, Magic, a playoff team in the Eastern Conference. Hawks looked pretty good as well when the Lakers played them. But the schedule coming up for the Lakers, it's going to get brutal. Their next look at these next few games, these handful of games. At Minnesota, home against Memphis, who's playing some of the best basketball anybody in the West. At Sacramento, a team that the Lakers have struggled with. They have Detroit, who they've already lost to. They should beat at home. At Golden State, home against Sacramento and Cleveland. That's a tough stretch. Some good basketball teams that the Lakers got coming up. So 13-11, they win tonight, but obviously they're going to have some tough games coming up. Let me read off here a couple supers here. I appreciate, by the way, you guys sending in these super chats. Slee, D'Lo played 21 minutes in Atlanta, but JJ said late game execution cost them the game. D'Lo wasn't on the floor, so who's to blame then? No, the whole team is to blame. My point is, when I say D'Lo played 21 minutes, I'm not blaming D'Lo for the loss against Atlanta. What I'm saying is that he's been so inconsistent that in a game where you play 53 minutes, JJ Redick is not looking at D'Lo and saying, let me get this guy in the game. Maybe if the point you're making is D'Lo's got to be in that game, you could make that case, but I'm not the coach. I'm just telling you that the coach, in a game where 53 minutes are played, decided to play Gabe Vincent more, decided to play, Austin Reeves isn't playing in the game, decided to play a number of other players, and I'd call them, role players, Max Christie more, Dalton Connect more. That's my point. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So it's not his fault that they lost against Atlanta because he only played 21 minutes, but it says something that your coach is saying we're only going to give him 21 minutes of play. Thank you for the super. I appreciate that. Let's actually take a quick listen. Rui's talking right now. We don't hear from Rui too often. Let's take a quick listen, see what Rui's got to say on the Lakers win against the Blazers.
I think it was a great defensively for us today.
Hey, Rui, Shohei Ohtani was here tonight. Did you get to say hi and catch up with him at all?
No. I didn't know he was going to come. I found out right before the game, but yeah, he's a very low key guy. He don't want to be in the scene like that. So yeah, but I think it's good that we both played in most highest level in sports leagues, and we, especially in LA, that's like the biggest markets here. So yeah, it's just like we support each other. He support us, support me. I support, of course they won, but I think that kind of motivate me too. I want to win here, and we have a lot of chance this year too. So yeah, that was a great moment for sure.
More to come on Access. Quincy Olivari got his.
It's on my end. Okay. Read some of your comments here, and we'll keep this thing rolling. Probably not going to go too late tonight, by the way. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background. A lot of stuff. And frankly, I can only talk so much about the Lakers and the Blazers game here. But I do got a couple other comments I want to get into here real quick, and then we'll keep going. Sliwa hopping on the Amtrak from Union Station to Solana Beach in that suit tonight. Yeah, that's not happening. I will not be going not going back to SD tonight. That's for sure. Slee, did Ohtani come up to you and say hi at the game? Twice. Yeah, there was one time where I was like, Shohei, not right now, bro. I'm trying to watch a game. I mean, it's guys, it's Lakers, Blazers, Shohei. Please have some respect. Have some respect. They lost every barometer game. Early in the season, if you guys remember, and I think part of the excitement why there was some excitement around the Lakers. Remember, they started the year out, they beat Minnesota, then they beat Phoenix, then they beat Sacramento, and you're like, hey, you know what? These are three pretty solid teams. And then they had two games right after that at Phoenix, which was a good game. It was a close game. They lost that one, and then they lost at Cleveland. From that point on, I felt like every barometer game they played, they lost. Memphis, they got one, but I think the other Memphis game that they lost, Ja Morant wasn't there. Or they lost one, and then the one that they won later, Ja Morant wasn't there. There was a few injuries. After that, what are their wins? Their wins are against San Antonio, New Orleans, Toronto, Philly without Embiid, without Maxey. So I think some people that were saying, hey, they really haven't played anybody yet. At the time, I was a little bit reluctant to say, well, you're right about that. I was basically saying, well, what do you want them to do? This is what's on their schedule. Just give them credit where credit's due. But today, I think it's fair to say that they have lost a lot of those barometer games. So I asked a question to JJ Redick at the presser before the game started. I thought his answer was interesting. You know, the question was something along the lines, when it's going this bad, what can you learn from? It was something along those lines. And he said that he said there's a lot you can learn from, you know, you have adversity, have it in the beginning of the year, and you adjust and you go from there. But one of the things I thought he said was interesting. He said that he had losses that he really couldn't understand. They had losses. It wasn't about, you know, if you lose a game, he pointed out specific games. You lose to the Thunder, but it's a close game. Okay, it's okay. You lose to Orlando, it's back and forth. You miss some free throws. You could identify why you lost that game against Orlando. You could even identify the loss against Atlanta wasn't an awful loss. It was just another loss. It was 2-7 in your last 9 games. It was, man, when is the bleeding going to stop? But you could look at certain plays that happened against Atlanta and say, AD, you can't make lazy passes like that. You could look at plays against Atlanta and say, on a jump ball, everybody's got to man up on a guy and box him out just like you're doing it for a rebound. There are certain losses that the Lakers had during the season where you can actually say, I can correct this, we can correct this, we can do this, and then we can win that game. But one of the things JJ pointed out was there are other losses that he really didn't have much of a comment on. What is he supposed to tell them when you lose by 41 against Miami? What are you supposed to tell them when you lose by 29 or 27 against, you pick whatever team that was? They had a couple of these bad losses. So I think that to me, and I think for most Laker fans, and the reason why the mood about the Lakers has changed so quickly is because of that. It's because some of these games, you really just don't have too much of an opportunity to figure out what exactly the problem has been with the Lakers over this, you know, course of these last couple of weeks. All right, let's see another one here. I may have jumped the gun on calling Connect a poor man's Clay instead of Kyle Korver. Well, let me tell you something. By the way, if the camera or anything like that is shaking a little bit, people are going up and down these stairs, so I got nothing I can do about that. But real quick on the Dalton Connect piece, yeah, I'm with you. I got to be honest with you. I was super, and Connect's going to have more games where we all look back and say, Jesus, man, look what Dalton Connect is doing. He's great again. There's that. He had 6 3-pointers again. That's coming. That's going to come this year. He's just too good of a player. But it might only come specifically when the Lakers are in a position where everybody's there, everybody's healthy, everybody's doing their thing. They can't key in on a guy like Dalton Connect because right now the Lakers just don't have enough weapons, and it's probably easy to guard Dalton Connect. They're just saying, listen, this guy's a rookie. It's going to take some time for him to obviously learn the game and what to do. Austin Reeves isn't there. LeBron wasn't there tonight. There's other players that are missing for the Lakers, other players that are inconsistent. If we just take Dalton Connect out of the game and make sure he's not dropping 20 or 25, it's tough for the Lakers to score right now. It's looked at like that, at least for these last few games. So were we jumping the gun? Sure, we all were. Every Laker fan was getting incredibly excited what they were seeing from Dalton Connect. What do you mean this guy's a rookie and he's got a game where he's got 9 threes or he's dropping 37? That's not common. You know, that definitely doesn't happen very often. So to have a stretch of games where he was as good as he was and as important as he was and what seemed like was going to be a player that night in and night out, he's changing kind of the whole dynamic of what the capability of this team is. Sure, of course, that kind of – we all jumped the gun on that. But I also think he's more – the problem with a guy like Kyle Korver trying to make the comp for Korver is what type of player? Kyle Korver is a guy that was only a spot-up shooter. That's not Dalton Connect. He's got a lot more to his game than just being a spot-up shooter. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's talk a little bit about LeBron. Okay. All right. Camera's not shaking. From my end, it feels like somebody's shaking my camera. It's like somebody's holding my camera and just shaking. Every time somebody comes up the side, I'm not trying to do a show here. You know, what do I turn to them and say? There were a couple kids that were running up and down the stairs. I'm like, guys, we're doing a post-game show here. All right, actually, that was one of the kids right there. I didn't mean it. I hope he didn't hear me. Let's talk LeBron here real quick. So kind of an odd, I don't know. This was kind of odd of what happened. So LeBron was questionable, and then they put him this morning probable. Probable is very simple. He's probably going to play. All right. And then Before you know it, I guess, before the game started, the question came up about, hey, is he going to play? And he says doubtful. JJ Redick said doubtful before the game. This was hour and a half, hour 45 before the game. So he says he's doubtful for the game, basically meaning he ain't suiting up. I guess the story was that, and he was doubtful because of left foot soreness. So I guess LeBron first experienced discomfort during the game against the Miami Heat on Wednesday, and then still played against Atlanta. And obviously, we all know what he did against the Atlanta Hawks, what he dropped 39, 11, and 10, had another triple-double, had 3 block shots. So whether he had left foot soreness or not, certainly wasn't showing in the game, specifically against Atlanta. Tonight, I thought when I heard he was doubtful, I just simply assumed the Lakers were just doing something that was very, very simple. If we can win this game against Portland without LeBron, which of course they should be able to, then they could rest LeBron for about a week, right? They didn't play since Friday. They don't play again until Friday. If there's one player that can use that time, if there's one player that can get an opportunity to get as much rest as possible, of course that player is LeBron. Of course, out of all the players that are out there, Bron needs that. Bron's going to have an opportunity now to give himself in the middle of the season, to have an opportunity in the middle of the season to at least get 4, 5, 6 days off. When does that happen in the regular season other than an all-star game? We all know how much the Lakers are dependent on Bron and Anthony Davis and Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. Go down the list, but LeBron's 39. He's going to be 40 by the time this month ends. I thought it was an interesting, just the way it happened. He was probable, and then he was out, or he was doubtful, but he was here practicing around 2 o'clock, warming up for what we thought was going to be this game. So the whole scenario was interesting how it all played out, but I definitely think it's the right decision. If you get a chance to let Bron rest, you let Bron rest. And you're not going to – I listed off all the games that the Lakers got coming up. If LeBron decided to rest, for example, at Minnesota coming up on Friday, that's an L. If he decided to rest the game against Memphis coming up a week from today, that's an L. Or at Sacramento for those 2 games. The Detroit game wouldn't be an easy game, even though it's Detroit and even though it's at home. Lakers already have a loss against the Pistons. At Golden State after that, Sacramento, Cleveland. He's not going to have many chances to rest. But if you play a team like Portland, you try to take advantage of it. The good thing is for the Lakers, I mean, if you just look at how many games they have over these next 2 weeks, they got 4 games over the next 2 weeks. That's it. Literally 4 games over the next 2 weeks, and we'll see what the Lakers are able to do with that. All right, let's see some more of your guys' comments here. I know it'll be a rough time, but I can't wait till the Lakers turn the page. Bron and AD next chapter. Let me say something. I'm thinking about doing a video on this here pretty soon. All these the shows that I'm doing now that are live Monday through Friday. Typically when I'm doing these shows, what I'm probably going to do here very, very soon is probably going to do something just specifically on Bron. It's interesting. Whatever this man does, I feel like people are still going to complain about him. Whatever he does. If LeBron gets a triple-double, somebody's going to complain about it. I think there isn't all that much appreciation for what he's doing at age 39. I do think there are a lot of Laker fans that would like to turn the page and start moving on. I do feel like there are a lot of Laker fans that feel that way, and maybe it's just an exhaustion. The AD piece, I don't really understand too much. If people are looking at Anthony Davis and wanting to turn the page on him, you have to have star players. You just have to have star players. But this is a good topic. This is a good conversation. And we're going to have this conversation because I think if there's enough people out there that feel the same way, I want to get a temperature of what people feel when that conversation comes up of their relationship with Bron. But man, there are a lot of times, when LeBron comes up, I feel like a lot of the stuff that comes up is negative about Bron. And to be honest with you, is it just because the man's been around for 22 years? Could it just be there's an exhaustion of him? Or I think for some Laker fans, they would always say, I think they would also say that how much control he has or the perceived control he has of the franchise. I think that comes into play as well. So that's going to be a separate chat and a separate conversation. But for now, let's take a quick listen. Anthony Davis is talking. Let's hear what AD's got to say.
To adjust on the fly and be successful with it, what was kind of the challenge you guys were able to face?
I mean, next man up. I mean, that's why, we have a team. Other guys had to step up. Rui stepped up. D'Lo stepped up. Guys know how to step up when, we have a guy like LeBron out. And guys took on a challenge tonight. And, even though it was, last minute scratch, just what God prepared for. And, guys got a chance. Some guys got a chance to come in and play in a little bit more minutes than they probably normally wouldn't. And, they did what they were supposed to do, did their job. So it was a team effort tonight.
Can you look ahead now to Friday and be like, this could be a real reset for our season, to have these 4 days, some off, some prep time, and really try to get back to the team that you guys looked like a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of games in a lot of days, but now we get guys to get 4 days to kind of recover. We got guys out, guys kind of banged up, so you get time to recover, time to practice. And kind of, like you said, reset and get ready for Minnesota, which we owe back in Minnesota. So, but we're going to use these days to get better, obviously, and but also be smart with, letting our bodies kind of heal and line it up for Friday.
You guys are 24 games into the season now. Do you think this group knows the best way for it to play offense, or is it still trying to figure out what old habits are going to work moving forward, what new stuff we should integrate? Like, I guess where you're at in that process, you think, as a group?
We know what we're supposed to do offensively. We know where we're supposed to get to as far as our spots, our running patterns, offensive schemes, our plays. We know all of that. So it's just about a matter of executing it.
You played about as much basketball as anybody in the world the last couple of years, including this summer. Could just the 4 days between games, how can that specifically benefit you?
So getting some rest, banged up with a little bit of injuries and things that's bothering me. So just kind of letting that 4 days, let my body heal before we get ready to line up on Friday. But I've never, I think in my career, had a stretch where we didn't play for, 4 days. So it's kind of new, but I know it'll be beneficial for us to kind of get back in the gym, get some time away from each other. But then, getting ready to work, so we can go up in Minnesota and get a win.
Defensively, you guys have been switching more, especially the last couple of weeks. Tonight,
I'm gonna stop right there. I think we got the gist of it. I think the biggest thing to take away, like I was talking about, very, very odd for the Lakers to have this kind of stretch, right? To have this many days off in the middle of a season. So whether it's for Anthony Davis to get right, Bron to get right, how about this? How about, when you got that game coming up in Minnesota, hopefully Austin Reeves is ready to go. It was good to see him on the sidelines doing what he was doing. He looked very excited when he was on the sidelines. Reeves took that bad fall, but hopefully he's in a much better position now moving forward. So I think for this entire team, and listen, they've been so bad. I think what AD said there towards the end there, just to get away, just to even get away from each other. I'm sure the coaching staff's like, can I get a couple days away from this team? I'm sure the players like, can I get a couple days away? Sometimes it could be healthy. But I don't know what's going to happen come Friday. I don't know. By Friday, they lose by 10 again. Well, it doesn't mean anything. You go get a tough win against the Minnesota Timberwolves on the road. Okay, that's a different conversation. But that part, I think, is going to be interesting. I was talking a little bit about the let me actually show one here real quick. Slee AD showed up and showed out tonight, abused DeAndre and what the Joker does to him. Here's a problem with that. I hope people don't think when I'm going to use Anthony Davis as an example. So AD had a big night tonight. I mentioned his stats a little bit earlier. Let me look again. 30, 11, and 5. But AD dominating DeAndre Ayton is just expected. So when something is expected, you don't really talk about it too often. When something's not expected, I didn't expect D'Lo to be dropping 28 and 14 tonight because he did. That becomes more of the conversation. Or Rui to have as good of a game as he did tonight, 23, 5, and 4 steals. So I think it just has to do with perspective. Yeah, he dominated Ayton. Sure, dominate DeAndre Ayton, but he's supposed to. That should not be something that anybody's looking at and saying to themselves, "Hey, that's a great accomplishment." All right, let me get another super here. If LBJ is out, other guys can grow and develop. Yeah, but is this the team that is this? Do the Lakers have? Does it seem like the team that they have right now is the Lakers' future? If you're talking about grow and develop for just this season, I understand where you're coming from. But it's not like they have all these players, remember, now I know the Lakers just used them to trade them all, but remember when it was BI and it was Josh Hart and it was, go down the list of all the young Julius Randle. That was a different roster. Those players ended up all getting traded. But I definitely don't think, some of the guys that the Lakers have right now, the grow and develop really is Max Christie, Dalton Connect. Who else is growing and develop? Rui's been in the league for a while. D'Lo's been in the league for a while. Gabe Vincent better not be trying to grow and develop. The guy got paid, and certainly the Lakers need him to be doing stuff. All right, let's see what else we got here. It's funny. I start some of these comments, but I'm going to save them. Some of this LeBron stuff that I mentioned, I understand why LeBron gets the hate. He didn't put this team together. The front office did, and I'm saying this as a Kobe fan. Laker fans forget we were under 500 5 years before Bron came here. No way I'm team LBJ all the way because that's all we got, right? When I was mentioning the LeBron stuff, and I'm very curious, that's going to be a good topic to get into. But when I mention the LeBron stuff later, and I'll do that on one of my days. Hell, we don't got another Laker game until Friday, so I got a lot of content that I'm going to be throwing out there. But when I mentioned how do Laker fans feel about LeBron, I think, I'm curious. I'm actually curious because I think there's going to be a huge split. I think there's going to be some people saying, damn, Laker fans, you're spoiled as hell. Appreciate Bron. Look what he's doing. He helped change your franchise and make you relevant again. And then there's going to be, I think, another side of Laker fans that are going to say, yeah, I'm waiting for that new era to start. I don't know what it's going to look like. When is it going to be more younger players, or can they build around Anthony Davis and go get another star? Or maybe some people are going to say, no, I actually would prefer them to even move on from a guy like Anthony Davis. Those conversations will come at some point, but I feel like this isn't one way completely where everyone's leaning saying, yeah, that's it with LeBron. Let's move on. I feel like it's going to be kind of in the middle here. Now I know Bron that's such a polarizing figure and somebody that, we've been talking about now for 22 years. So that has a lot to do with it as well. Juan Soto is not worth $765 million. Tune in tomorrow morning around 8:15, 8:20. We'll get into that. That's some crazy ass money. That is some crazy, crazy ass money. All right, let's see what else we got here. It's a lot of got to take a little breather here. Relax in the chat. Things are getting heated. It's a heated chat tonight. Guys, the Lakers won. They won. Everything's going to be okay. Lakers over the Blazers, 107-98. Okay, let me promote a couple things here, and then we're going to call it a night. Lakers next game, like I mentioned. Actually, no. You know what I wanted to do after the win tonight. Let's see where the Lakers are in the standings. If I can, I think there is a little bit of good news with the Lakers. There's a lot of teams that are right now in the West. Minnesota, I know, demolished the Lakers, but they're 12-11. Phoenix, now they got a reason why they're struggling. KD's been out of the lineup. They've lost 3 in a row. They're 12-11. Who knows if Phoenix can really be healthy the entire season? I mean, I hope they are. I've said this before. I want to see the Stars play. Denver's 12-10. They're weird. They blew out a team today. Yesterday, they lost to the Wizards, who had lost 16 games in a row. Clippers have finally lost a couple games in a row. Golden State's 4-6 in their last 10 games. So it's not like, there's a lot of teams right now in the Western Conference just killing it. The teams killing it in the West, OKC, Memphis, and Houston are really the three teams, and Dallas. As you put Dallas into that mix, they've won 7 games in a row. But there's a lot of kind of mid teams in the Western Conference. The problem with the Lakers, even these mid teams that they've played have blown them out. I'm talking about Minnesota, I'm talking about Denver, and I'm talking about Phoenix. I'm talking about those 3 teams. So next game for the Lakers, I will not be doing another post-game show until Friday. So Friday, Lakers will take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's going to be a 5 o'clock game coming up on Friday for the Lakers, and that's going to be at Minnesota. So that's the next post-game show that I'm doing. But, of course, I'm going to be doing my daily show, and maybe just because there isn't another game until Friday, I might be doing some specific Laker-centric stuff as well. But you can hear me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. on YouTube. So right here you can hear me. I ask if you guys don't mind, just take 2 seconds, just a quick second, to please subscribe, like the video, but subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps. And I'm at a pace right now where I think the channel is growing about over 800 subscribers on a monthly basis. That's phenomenal. That's helping me accomplish some of the goals that I'm looking for. And obviously now I'm 100% independent here on YouTube. So your support by liking and subscribing means the world and really does help. That's all I got for tonight. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Lakers over the Blazers, 107-98. I will be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Until then, hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and we'll get back with you then. Thank you, Lake fans. I appreciate it.